Giving is saying no. Giving is breaking up with a woman when it's not working. Giving is walking away from relationships when you know it's not going to work out.
Right.
Giving is loving them anyways as you walk away. Giving is saying all the hard things. I say all this way because I want you guys to realize.
I know you, Brian.
Yeah.
You really, really do speak the truths, and you're a very kind man. You know, I've never heard you say anything that is unkind or cruel or harsh. I mean, literally. But you do speak the truths.
Well, that you have to. Otherwise, you don't grow, and you don't. You know, I broke up recently, or there was a breakup I had with a woman that was somebody I loved dearly.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with anything other than we were growing in different directions. Mm-hmm. And she knew it, and I knew it, and it needed to end. And I could have possibly tried to drag this thing out for a long time, like the old me would.
I know you could have.
Yeah.
I know you could have.
But the point was,
I was so amazed when you did that. I was like, my jaw dropped, hit the ground. This woman, from most men's standards, externally, I mean, this woman, drop dead gorgeous, extremely well educated, great family, great personality, phenomenal on all scores.
Well, she's a phenomenal human being.
Phenomenal
100%.
human being on all scores. But you knew.
Oh, we were heading in different directions, and it needed to end because of that. It needed to end and it's not that, oh, you can make it work, Right,
right.
And maybe down the road we can. But for now, where we were headed, we were building resentment, and resentment is the death of every relationship. Mm-hmm. And so I would rather have somebody that I love dearly and keep that love alive rather than try to drag it through the mud. And what ended up happening was we are great friends, and I still love her dearly, and I still feel like she loves me dearly. We talk all the time, and that's fucking awesome. Mm-hmm. And
so I bet you never heard that on an attraction podcast. I mean, Brian just spoke something really big, and I didn't expect the discussion to go this direction, but listen, relationships don't fail if you handle it right. Mm-hmm. Relationships complete.
Exactly. And
they complete. And every relationship in this world will complete.
And all these nice guys out there, this used to be me, so many guys stay with women because they're afraid of being hurt, or they're afraid of her being with another man, or they're afraid of losing out on the possibility, and they're jealous. And if you don't get all the jealousy and all the what if I lose out on something crap out of your life.
If your gut right now is going bang, 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 bang because of the words that just came out of his mouth, jealousy, crap, and you're
Oh yeah. I used to be super jealous. So
you're in trouble, dude.
Yeah, you got to learn to. Once you let all that stuff go and you're no longer jealous, you no longer feel like you need this woman. Let's say you got this perfect 10 in front of you, Playboy, Playmate, whatever is your perfect 10. I don't know.
Whatever your perfect 10 is.
Yeah,
and it's big definition.
And let's say you're dating her. If you're not strong enough to let her go, if she's not right for you, and you're just holding her, you're tying her up and tying up her life because you're selfish, then you don't know how to really be giving yet. You got to learn to let women like that go when it doesn't work out. This doesn't mean, and I'm talking about relationship now. Now, dating is different. I'm not saying you want to hang on to her dating either, but dating is dating. And we're talking about like you're in a serious relationship. Can you let this woman go if you really love her and you're not a jealous person, and you want her to be happy, then you'll do that. But in that, you'll have the best, because you're capable of doing that. When you find the right women, you'll be able to have the best relationships possible, the most amazing, you'll give her the most freedom and openness, and she'll come back and give you the most pleasure because of it, and most femininity, and she'll feel alive in your presence. And that's what you want. That's ultimately what you want. This is whether you're dating or in a relationship. And you can date a lot of women and still do this. And it's a beautiful thing, because you can be completely honest, you can be completely open, you can completely set all these women free and date 3 or 4 women. Be honest that you're dating 3 or 4 women or more. Be honest to what you're doing, and they can respect you in that from the place that you come from. And a lot of guys just, they bullshit and lie and tell women what they want to hear.
Because half of what Brian just said, the man wants to protect himself. But now I'm going to go to another subject. Half because you don't believe she's a real, complete human being. Because you don't actually believe that she is just as complete as you are sexually, with all the same needs, all the same desires. Yes, the dials are turned differently, like we talked. They're all the same dials on the machine, just tuned a little bit differently. And because the guy doesn't see her as a completely essential being, fully sexual, fully awake, fully making choices, bullshits her and lies and manipulates and runs game and
very much
banner
so.
and runs routines. Why would you run a routine on someone if you thought you were dealing with a real human being?
Why would you lie to a girl? And that's the funny part is I can't tell you how many guys I've met that have all these stories, and they steal them from other people. They're not even their own fucking stories. I'm like, why are you telling this to a girl? I mean, it's one thing if you're bantering and being playful and you're and you're teasing and you're not really lying, you're playing. But you're like, but when you're really telling something deep about yourself and you're actually telling her something deep and it's not even really true just because you want to get in her pants, well, that's pretty disgusting.
Right.
You'd be surprised. The number one thing if you really want a girl to enjoy you in bed and to really enjoy her is trust. She's got to trust you.
She's got to totally trust you.
Yeah, and here's the other thing is that a lot of nice guys think that women are just looking for commitment, and that's why they won't sleep with them right away. Otherwise, they just go jump in bed with them. That is 100% not true. Some women are, and some women would love to go out and just have sex if you set them free, but they need to trust that you're going to respect them, that you're not going to announce it to the world. You talk about this. This is very important.
Right. Talk about this a lot.
Do you protect the woman's fantasies? Is exactly how you say it, and it's 100% true. Do you protect her and her fantasies? Do you set her free?
And one of the things that happens, which is really true, is that if your goal is, this is a pretty big thing I'm going to lay on you. If your goal really, really is to set your woman free, you're secure enough to set her completely free, to reveal who she really is. And this goes for dating, this can happen in moments, or this goes for marriages too. And then whatever happens, be what I call a genuine alpha, and receive whatever she says, and just receive it and hold it and protect it, whatever it is, without either running away in horror, or going, oh, tongue hits the ground, drooling, yeah, I want that,
Yeah.
But just receive it.
And by this, you're meaning like if she says, I want to have a threesome, or
something.
Let's say she says you want to have a threesome with another girl, then your tongue hits the ground. That's the one most guys' tongue hits the ground.
Yeah.
Or the other one is I want to have a threesome with another dude. That's when the guy rolls away in horror. So
that's true. I was being a little diplomatic.
Yeah.
But and what happens is you literally, I've spoken with thousands of women, I'll keep repeating this, you literally become 1 in 1,000 guy.
Yeah,
if you want to become a 1 in 1,000 guy with women, learn how to do this. And what will happen when she speaks her truth is you may learn that she is a 10 playboy playmate who has absolutely no interest in sex and only wants money. And you go, wow, that's really interesting. How'd you get there? And you end up with a best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas normal attraction model says, okay, now with this information, how do I manipulate? Which doesn't work. It just flat out doesn't work. But what may come out of her mouth is your dream girl, whatever that is. She may reveal it to you. And if you don't let her reveal it to you, you'll never know.
The faster you can get to these truths, the faster you can be open-hearted, honest, and do what we're talking about, the more real, and let's say faster, the more real you can be just from the moment you meet a woman, the better the relationships with all women are going to become, the more connected they're going to be, the better your sex is going to go through the roof. It's going to just blow up because the trust is going to blow up and the honesty is going to blow up, and women are going to become your biggest fans. They're going to be your biggest supporters. Mm-hmm. And if they
I know
don't,
that kind of sounds a little rah-rah, but it's flat true.
Yeah.
I'll give you perfect truth. He just got back from Europe. We just had dinner. We just went through all of his pictures. He wasn't there very long, like 3 weeks, and he went through, I'd be afraid to give the number, but the pictures that I saw were of 7 women, absolutely stunning, that you hadn't known before, and their faces were happy. Really happy. you guys were having a great time. Every single one, not one, all of them. And the thing that was in common among all of them was, and I know how to see this stuff, is these women were completely natural, themselves, happy, totally comfortable, no defenses up.
And one of the key things here is that
That's
you're
a
saying.
beautiful thing, man. And it feels good when you do it, right?
I want these guys to understand that my goal is to set every woman free that I hang out with. This doesn't mean that I'm trying to sleep with every woman I hang out with.
Me neither.
And this means that if she's 80 years old and we're having a great time, I want to give her the permission to be free and open communication. Whether I just met her and she's dating somebody else, and in that, there's this comfort level that develops, and if the woman's single and available, she'll start broadcasting that to me. We'll start moving in that direction.
It's not something you manipulated out of her or controlled out of her. It's revealed.
Yeah. Last night I got home. Got off the plane. I was at the grocery store, and I just happened to cut in line by accident. I didn't know she was there because she was kind of half behind this aisle, the woman in line at the grocery store. And then I realized I did it, and I apologized to her. We talked all the way through the line. We talked out in the parking lot, had a great connection. I hadn't slept in 20 hours. I just got off a plane. And I know the beautiful thing about that was I was so tired and groggy, and I was first talking to her, and I was like skipping over words. And within 5 minutes of talking to her, I was wide awake again. I was like, wow, beautiful woman. And I went out to my car, and somebody else was driving because they picked me up. And I saw her come out after I was getting in my car.
And she gave you her phone number.
Yeah. And I stopped, and I just jumped out of my car, and I ran over, and I said, I got to talk to this girl. I'll be right back. And I ran over, and we chatted some more in the parking lot, and it was freezing, and it was funny, and because this wind caught these grocery carts, and they flew and hit my car, and I had to grab it. It was just funny. It was a great moment to share with a beautiful woman, whether I ever see her again or not. I very much enjoyed that interaction.
Right.
And I think guys focus too much on getting to sex, and that's why they never get to sex.
Which is why they never get. It's a funny duality. And the other thing is, look at this from the other point of view. How do you think the woman felt going to bed that night? What she's thinking about? She had a great time.
Yeah.
Her head's spinning, and it's a good thing. It's very important for you to know that women, when you screw this up and you ignore them and you're too shy, they feel rejected. Think about what I just said.
Yeah.
That's a very simple piece of logic. From their perspective, you're locked up so tight that you walk by. What's the feeling that they get?
There's something wrong with them. They're not good enough. There's all kinds of possibilities. Because they'll put out signals right and left, and guys won't see them because we're not tuned to see them, and they try so hard. There's a study by a guy named Perper, and he did his college thesis, I guess it would be called, on it, and he determined from studying countless hours of subcommunication between men and women, an insane amount of hours, that only 1 in 31 men could read women's subcommunication. Really? Women are sending it out like crazy, saying, I like you, I don't like you, come here, pick up or kiss me right now. And only 1 in 31 men could read it consciously. Knew exactly what you're saying, could respond back clearly with subcommunication and direct communication.
That's huge.
And he said those men got all the benefits. Those men, it stood out.
Those guys got all the benefits.
Yeah, because they could communicate back. They could create that little bubble of us and go off into the corner. They could do all this stuff because they were attuned into the tension and the emotion. First, you feel the tension between us, and then if you go deep enough in that tension, surrender enough, you start to feel the emotion. And when you're sitting there with that person, as I specifically teach this in workshop, we bring in models and we go over this. And the whole goal is, first, can I feel my emotions? Can I feel my groundedness? Then can I create a bubble and feel the tension between us? Then can I go even deeper and feel her emotions? And I can feel the dance of my emotions and her emotions. And when you can, you'll never run out of things to say. Yeah. And it feels really confusing what I just said, but it's actually super fucking simple when you get it.
When you get it, which answers, actually, I'm going to answer a question that, this is a dumb joke, but what do women want? I mean, how many times have you heard that since you were like 3 years old?
They made a movie called that.
Yeah, and how many times have you heard that? And how many guys have you heard say, I have no idea? Women want that. Mm-hmm. I'm really dead serious about this. Thousands of women I've interviewed. Women want that. The one singular thing that they want in life out of a man is his complete and full presence and emotional connection. That is the thing they want. And if you're able to deliver that, and then handle the rest of your life with competency and the rest of the relationship with competency, you're 1 in 1,000. And for this guy, 1 in 31, because if you can't read them, you're just done. You're completely done.
That's pretty much true.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, it's just.
And so this
I think some women do settle because they can't find anything better, but then the settling never really quite works out.
Yeah.
And presence, by the way, guys, if this sounds like a lot of work, actually, when you finally get it, it's 10 times easier.
It just takes everything.
It takes all the work out of it.
So it takes all the work out of it.
Yeah.
Which is, lots of the schools, Limitless is going to be extraordinarily intense. Like, get ready for WWF, really intense. But a lot of schools teach you all this complicated stuff to do and say, and it's completely unnecessary, in my opinion. It may be useful from time to time, but as far as the core value of the basic how to make this thing work, frankly, 12 years ago, when an amazing book was written and a lot of people started thinking about this, I honor every single one of them for new thinking. Yeah. I was kind of doing my own new thinking at the time that I'm pretty well known for.
Well, it's steps and progressions.
Steps and progressions, and what happens is you go through that, and the truths are not always revealed at first. And it turns out, in my opinion, about, 80% of it was bullshit. And it was good thought, sounded great coming out of the mouth, but it was on a path towards learning. And the reason that you want to come out is there's a whole bunch of people that have got this thing figured out now.
There's an interesting thing out there. I see a lot of people teach this, which is you can't ask boring questions. You got to be entertaining, ask interesting questions. And I hear this all the time, and I'm going to contradict all that, and I'm going to say you can ask boring questions. And they do work when you're in feeling and connected to the other human being in front of you. Because here's the deal. When I'm actually truly connecting and interested and intrigued and relating emotionally, and I ask those boring questions, they're no longer boring. Because now I'm truly interested in her. And she feels that deep, true, authentic interest. And that makes her excited to talk to me. But most guys do it completely from their head. Maybe they are actually interested, but they're still doing it from their head. And so she can't feel his emotions. His nervous system is shut off to her. And so to her, she doesn't want to share. And that's the real problem. Yeah, the more interesting questions, great. But if you're going into your head to find those more interesting questions, you actually could be doing more damage by doing that. I had a student once when we were out.
And even if you're really, really, really good at it, it's a direct path to the friend zone.
You get rid of the tension. You take yourself out of the tension. You're going to the friend zone.
Right.
And I had a student once when we were out at a mall, and he kept complaining that he'd walk up to women, he could get in all these conversations, but they never called him back. So I watched him walk up to this one woman, and he had a lot of training already before I'd ever met him. And so he was pretty damn good. And he'd walk up to these women, and the women would just light right up when he opened, because he would open, solid, present, connected, a lot of tension. Yeah. And he'd look them right in the eye, and they'd be like curious, and I could see them get curious and start to lean in. And then suddenly they'd lean in and start to connect to him, and then he'd get in his head, and I'd see him go up here and start thinking, and then they'd start to pull back, and they'd be confused, and then they'd be backing up, and then he'd come back, and then they'd pull back in a little bit, and then he'd come back up, and he confused the fuck out of them because he wasn't staying present. And I asked him later, I said, what are you doing? And he said, well, I'm going up to my head to think of clever questions to ask while she's talking.
Oh my God.
And I was like, no. So me and my partner, Dave, we gave him a simple assignment, just so he could push his boundaries that night. I said, the next girl you walk up to, I want you to open and connect exactly the way you did, but don't break it. And I want you to ask all boring questions. Just talk to her. What do you do? Where are you from? Boring shit, but stay in that energy of that flow, that feeling of emotion. And he's like, okay. And then the next thing was, I want you to, Dave said that one, and then, because Dave's great at that one, just ask. He just sits there and listens. He's a great listener and asking questions, and women share their story, their world story, everything to him. And then the next one I said is, I want you to ask her by the end of the conversation to come home with you tonight, just so you can have that experience. Just push that tension, because he was afraid of the tension. And I wasn't caring if he actually took her home or not. It'd be awesome if he did, great experience for both of them. Right. But what I really wanted was for him to have the experience of pushing some tension really far and sitting in it, so he could see what it felt like in a connected conversation. Not a disconnected, but a connected. Right. So he did this. And my God, that girl walked right in with him. He stayed right there, and he said, he comes back. He was so excited when he came back, and he was like, I just asked boring questions. She kept leaning in more and more because they were in that tension together because he was so good at it naturally already. He just didn't know it. He wouldn't break it. And then I got to the point about asking her to go home with me, and he goes, I did. And I leaned in, and she goes, I don't know. I have a boyfriend. And he goes, she started to think about it, and we were starting to lean in closer, and we were talking, and she's like, and she was thinking about it, and he goes, then I got scared, and I went, I'm just kidding, and then and then he ran away. But
That's a great story.
Yeah, he came back, but he was so happy because of that. But it changed all his interactions from there. From that point on, all his dating started to change. Now, for those of you that this sounds like Greek to, it's because you're not getting the underneath energy, the feeling, the flow, the dance energy. And that energy, you have to experience it. It's hard to explain in words. It's hard to explain. It's freedom. It's giving. It's flowing. It's openness in the nervous system. It's my heart feeling your heart, which is literally my emotions exchanging with your emotions and sharing emotions together. Right. And that really happens in the real world. Thanks for watching part 3 of my interview with Roy Stone. I feel extremely honored to be at this year's Limitless Man Summit, where I'll be one of 30 master instructors teaching with combined experience of over 300 years, giving you over 30 live hours of intensive training. Tickets are on sale now at thelimitlessmansummit.com for only $395. I'll see you there in person.